The sun hung low in the sky, casting an eerie amber glow across the cobblestone streets of New Orleans. A thick blanket of humidity clung to the air, wrapping around the city like an old, forgotten memory. The historic district, with its ironwork balconies and lush courtyards, seemed alive with stories waiting to be told. But amidst the vibrant life of the French Quarter, one towering structure stood apart, cloaked in shadows and whispers: the Devereux Mansion. This grand estate, with its crumbling facade and overgrown gardens, was a relic of a bygone era, a time when the air buzzed with the laughter of high society and the clinking of crystal glasses. As dusk settled, the mansion's once splendid white exterior began to take on a sinister quality. The peeling paint and cracked windows spoke of neglect, while the heavy wooden doors, now swollen and warped, seemed to guard secrets buried deep within its walls. With each step closer, the atmosphere thickened, as if the very air held its breath. The wind rustled through the trees, carrying with it the scent of wet earth and decay, a reminder of the passage of time and the memories trapped within. Shadows danced along the stone path leading to the entrance, flickering like the ghostly figures said to inhabit the mansion. Locals often spoke of strange occurrences, unexplained noises echoing through the empty halls, flickering lights where none should be, and apparitions glimpsed from the corner of the eye. The Devereux Mansion was not just a house, it was a canvas painted with the brushstrokes of grief, love, and mystery. As night fell, the mansion loomed larger, its outline framed against the starless sky. The wrought iron gate creaked ominously when pushed, revealing an overgrown garden that had once been the pride of the Devereux family. Vines twisted around marble statues, their once gleaming surfaces now dulled by years of neglect. The scent of jasmine lingered, a nostalgic nod to better days, mingling with the musty odor of decay that clung to the air. Inside, the wood floorboards groaned underfoot, their creaks sounding like whispered warnings. Dust motes danced in the faint light streaming through grimy windows, illuminating traces of a past long forgotten. Ornate chandeliers hung precariously from the ceiling, their crystals dulled but still catching stray glimmers of light. The grand foyer, once bustling with the energy of lavish parties, now held an oppressive silence that pressed against the very walls. The air felt thick, stifling, as though it carried the weight of 1,000 untold stories. Each room told its own tale of grandeur and decline. The parlor, with its faded upholstery and cracked mirrors, seemed to echo with laughter, now hauntingly absent. In the library, rows of dusty books stood sentinel, their spines lined like sentinels of knowledge, guarding stories that had witnessed the rise and fall of the Devereux lineage. But amidst the remnants of beauty, a sense of foreboding lingered, as if the walls themselves bore witness to the tragedies that unfolded within. As the night deepened, an unsettling chill enveloped the mansion. A low breeze whispered through the halls, swirling around corners and dancing through empty rooms. The faintest sound of a piano drifted through the air, an ethereal melody that beckoned the curious, echoing the laughter and music of long-ago gatherings. Yet, as one followed the sound, it would fade, leaving behind nothing but an unsettling silence. What had transpired within these walls? What sorrowful tales were woven into the very fabric of the mansion? The locals had their suspicions, their hushed conversations filled with rumors of a tragic fate that befell the Devereux family. But the deeper one delved into the mansion's history, the more elusive the truth became. And so, as the wind howled outside, rattling the panes like a restless spirit, the mansion loomed with its secrets, waiting for someone to uncover them. What had once been a home filled with laughter and life now stood as a monument to heartbreak and mystery, an invitation to those brave enough to seek its hidden truths. What had happened on that fateful night long ago? The shadows deepened, and the air crackled with anticipation, as if the mansion itself was holding its breath, waiting for the next chapter to unfold. The stage was set, and the echoes of the past awaited their audience. As the clock struck midnight, a sense of urgency surged through the air. The hidden stories of the Devereux Mansion yearned to be told, to break free from the shackles of silence. Would the truth be a balm for its haunted halls, or would it invoke further shadows? The mysteries of the mansion beckoned, urging the curious to delve deeper, to unravel the threads of fate that had woven through generations. But beware, for not all secrets are meant to be uncovered, and some stories are better left buried. The mansion's ghosts whispered in the darkness, and the echoes of the past lingered just beyond the threshold, ready to ensnare the unwary. What lay ahead was a journey fraught with intrigue, one that promised to challenge the very essence of belief and reality. Would you dare to step inside, to uncover the truth that lay hidden within the Devereux Mansion? The night was still young, and the mansion waited, shadows stretching like fingers, inviting the brave and the foolish alike to uncover the legacy written in blood. The Devereux Mansion was born in the early 19th century, a testament to both grandeur and ambition. Constructed in 1822, it was the brainchild of Charles Devereux, a wealthy cotton plantation owner who sought to make a name for himself among the elite of New Orleans. At the time, the city was a burgeoning hub of trade and culture, infused with the spirit of the American South and influenced by French and Spanish heritage. The mansion, with its neoclassical design, symbolized the prosperity and aspirations of its creator, standing tall amid the backdrop of Southern gentility. Charles Devereux envisioned a home that would reflect his status and wealth. He spared no expense, employing the finest craftsmen and artisans of the time. The mansion featured soaring columns, expansive verandas, and intricately carved woodwork that showcased the skill of the artisans. As the first of its kind in the area, the house quickly became a focal point for social gatherings, parties, and extravagant events. The grand ballroom, with its high ceilings and crystal chandeliers, echoed with laughter and music, a stark contrast to the silence that enveloped the property in later years. During the mansion's early years, the Devereux family thrived. They hosted lavish soirees that brought together the most influential figures of the time. The estate became a symbol of elegance, a display of wealth and power in a city that valued such things above all. However, behind the facade of opulence, tensions brewed within the family. Charles's ambitions often overshadowed the needs of his loved ones. His relentless pursuit of status created an atmosphere of pressure where appearances mattered more than genuine connections. This tension would seep into the very walls of the mansion, laying the groundwork for the family's eventual decline. During the mansion's early years, the Devereux family thrived. They hosted lavish soirees that brought together the most influential figures of the time. The estate became a symbol of elegance, a display of wealth and power in a city that valued such things above all. However, behind the facade of opulence, tensions brewed within the family. Charles's ambitions often overshadowed the needs of his loved ones. His relentless pursuit of status created an atmosphere of pressure where appearances mattered more than genuine connections. This tension would seep into the very walls of the mansion, laying the groundwork for the family's eventual decline. A sense of mystery surrounded the Devereux family, particularly regarding their relationships and secrets. Among the children, whispers of rivalry permeated the household. The eldest son, Edward, was frequently at odds with his father, longing for independence and resenting the weight of expectations placed upon him. The youngest daughter, Isabel, was often seen as the favorite, her charm captivating not only her parents, but also suitors who flocked to their gatherings, eager to win her affection. Little did they know that beneath the surface of their idyllic lives, a darkness lurked, waiting for the opportune moment to emerge. As the years passed, the mansion began to witness the rise and fall of fortunes, reflective of the turbulent history of New Orleans itself. The cotton market fluctuated, and with it, the Devereaux wealth dwindled. The Civil War cast a long shadow over the South, bringing devastation and despair. Many families lost their fortunes, and the Devereaux were no exception. The grand estate, once full of life, began to feel more like a mausoleum than a home. The laughter that once echoed through the halls turned into distant memories, replaced by the haunting silence of abandonment. Despite its decline, the mansion held on to remnants of its former glory. The gardens, once vibrant and fragrant with the scent of blooming flowers, became overgrown and wild, reclaiming the land that had been meticulously manicured. The once glistening chandeliers dulled, and cobwebs hung in the corners of the once bustling ballroom. Yet, even in its decay, the mansion retained an undeniable charm, an allure that drew the curious and the brave. As tales of the Devereaux mansion spread, local legends began to flourish. Some claimed that the spirits of the family still wandered its halls, trapped between the world of the living and the afterlife. Others spoke of strange occurrences, the flickering of lights in empty rooms, soft piano music drifting through the air, a shadowy figure seen gliding from one room to another. Locals would dare each other to approach the mansion at night, and those who did returned with wide eyes and hushed whispers, recounting their eerie experiences. The legend of the Devereaux mansion took on a life of its own, attracting paranormal enthusiasts and thrill-seekers alike. Ghost hunters armed with cameras and EMF detectors sought to uncover the secrets hidden within its walls. Investigations revealed accounts of unexplained cold spots, ghostly apparitions, and disembodied voices echoing through the once grand halls. Each visit only added to the growing folklore surrounding the mansion, as stories intertwined with the fabric of the city itself. In the midst of this atmospheric tension, it became clear that the Devereaux mansion was not merely a relic from the past, but a living entity, steeped in history and mystery. The whispers of its former inhabitants echoed through the overgrown gardens and empty rooms. As night fell over the city, a shroud of darkness enveloped the mansion, transforming it into a haunting silhouette against the dim glow of the moon. The air thickened, as if the very atmosphere was charged with anticipation, waiting for the next chapter in its storied legacy. To understand the full weight of what had transpired within these walls, one must delve deeper into the history of the Devereaux family and the turbulent events that would shape their fate. The mansion stood as a testament to their rise, but also as a reminder of their unraveling, a journey marked by ambition, love, and ultimately tragedy. For those captivated by the story of the Devereaux mansion, the journey has just begun. If you find yourself intrigued by the mysteries that lie ahead, consider subscribing to our channel and sharing where you're listening from. Your engagement fuels our exploration of this haunting tale, and we invite you to join us as we uncover the secrets buried within the shadows of the past, piece by piece. Inside the Devereaux mansion, the air hung heavy with silence, a stark contrast to the lively streets just beyond its towering walls. Dust motes floated lazily in the dim light, illuminated by the faint glow of a dying chandelier that had once graced grand balls and elegant gatherings. The room, now cluttered with remnants of its glorious past, told stories that echoed through the ages. Faded portraits of the Devereaux family stared solemnly from the walls, their eyes seemingly tracking one's movements, as if guarding long-buried secrets. This was not merely a residence. It was a sanctuary of privilege and ambition, where dreams were woven into expansive tapestries and laughter once resonated beneath the lofty ceilings. The ornate woodwork, the intricate moldings, and the delicate porcelain found throughout the mansion spoke of artistry and wealth. But as one wandered deeper into its heart, the warmth of those memories faded, replaced by an unsettling chill that lingered in the shadows. The family that once inhabited this estate was woven into the very fabric of New Orleans, their influence felt in the opulent soirees that lit up the nights. The patriarch, Charles Devereux, was a man of great stature in the community, a successful cotton plantation owner whose fortune flourished in the 19th century. His vision had manifested in the grand design of the mansion itself, conceived by the celebrated architect Antoine Leclerc, who sought to blend classical elegance with the warmth of Southern charm. With every layer added to the mansion, the Devereux family grew in numbers and wealth. Charles's wife, Eliza, was the heart of the household, known for her grace and poise. Their children, raised amidst lavish luxuries, were gifted every opportunity. Yet it was the darker undercurrents of their lives that began to shape the mansion's legacy, intertwining joy with sorrow as the years rolled by. In the serene garden outside, once the scene of lively festivities, whispers of scandal began to swirl like the summer storms that often swept through the region. The eldest son, Thomas, became the embodiment of ambition, eager to expand the family empire. He was both revered and envied, a position that fostered tension within the family and among their peers. His siblings, torn between loyalty and rivalry, navigated their own paths, each carving out distinct identities amid the weight of their last name. One could imagine the hushed conversations and furtive glances shared between family members, each hiding their ambitions and fears behind polite smiles. It was a delicate dance, with underlying tensions simmering just beneath the surface. The mansion, with its sprawling rooms and grand staircases, served as both a witness and a participant in their unfolding drama. As twilight deepened into night, a sense of foreboding settled over the estate. The echoes of laughter that once filled the hallways were replaced by an eerie stillness, an unsettling silence punctuated only by the creaks and groans of the old house. The grand ballroom, once a stage for lively social events, now lay dormant, its polished floorboards dulled by years of neglect. The heavy drapes hung like shrouds over windows that had once framed vibrant views of lavish parties spilling into the moonlit nights. But even in its decay, the mansion seemed to pulse with a life of its own. The flickering shadows cast by the dying light created a haunting tableau, hinting at the stories that continued to unfold within its walls. As the hour grew late, the sense of mystery deepened, intertwining the lives of the Devereux family with the very structure they called home. In whispers, the locals spoke of the family's decline, of the secrets that seeped through the cracks, telling tales of betrayal and heartbreak. It was said that Thomas's ambition led him to make desperate choices that would ripple through the family, leaving scars too deep to heal. The mansion became a silent sanctuary for grief, a vault of memories where joy and despair intermingled. But the shadows held more than memories. They seemed to whisper of tragedies yet to come. The fragile threads of the family tapestry began to unravel, leading to a catastrophic event that would change everything. It was a night like any other, when the winds howled and the rain lashed against the windows, the storm outside mirroring the turmoil within. In the depths of the night, the mansion bore witness to a terrible accident, one that would claim a life and ignite a chain of events that would ultimately seal its fate. The details became a blur, a kaleidoscope of emotions captured in fleeting glimpses. The laughter that had once echoed in the halls turned into anguished cries, reverberating through the empty rooms as the family grappled with their unbearable loss. The tragedy hung in the air like a heavy fog, obscuring the light of hope and trapping the family in a cycle of despair. As the storm subsided, the mansion stood resolute,
a silent guardian of the secrets that would haunt the Devereux lineage for generations to come. The once vibrant home, filled with laughter and love, became a mausoleum of memories, where echoes of the past intertwined with the dark fabric of sorrow. Even as the sun rose anew, casting a golden glow through the shattered windows, the air remained thick with unspoken words and fractured dreams. The Devereux's legacy, once a tapestry of triumph and wealth, transformed into a haunting saga, echoing through the walls of the mansion, a story of ambition, love, betrayal, and loss, waiting to be unveiled. As the camera moves through the desolate halls, the lingering sense of history permeates each room, inviting the viewer to ponder the lives that marked the passage of time.
The mansion is more than just bricks and mortar. It is a living testament to the fragile nature of existence, a stage where the interplay of light and shadow reveals the true heart of its haunted legacy. Before we delve deeper into the mysteries that surround the Devereux Mansion, we invite you to share where you're listening from. Your engagement helps us uncover the stories that connect us all. Don't forget to subscribe and join us as we unravel the layers of this haunting tale, revealing the secrets that continue to whisper through the corridors of time. The air turned thick with anticipation as the Devereux family reached the peak of their fortune. Yet, within the opulent walls of the mansion, a darker narrative began to unfold. Shadows cast by flickering candlelight danced across the grand ballroom, where laughter once echoed. Now the air held a different kind of tension, one that hinted at the chaos brewing beneath the surface. The once vibrant estate, a sanctuary of joy, was starting to bear the weight of secrets, deception, and an impending tragedy that loomed like a thunderstorm on the horizon. In 1845, the Devereux family faced an event that would shatter their facade of perfection. Charles Devereux's eldest son, William, was found dead in the garden, his body sprawled among the fallen magnolia blossoms. The news rippled through the community, sending shockwaves that reverberated far beyond the mansion's gates. Initially deemed an accident, whispers of foul play whispered like ghosts through the hallways, growing louder with each passing day. The grand celebrations that once filled the mansion were replaced with hushed conversations and mourning. William had been a young man of promise, known for his charm and charisma. He was his father's pride, poised to inherit the Devereux legacy. The tragic nature of his death shattered that promise and brought to light the simmering tensions within the family. As the community gathered to offer condolences, hidden resentments began to bubble to the surface. Charles, consumed by grief, turned inward rather than uniting his family in their sorrow. Instead of healing, his relentless ambition took an even darker turn, igniting a fire that threatened to consume them all. Rumors spread like wildfire, reaching every corner of New Orleans. Some speculated that William had discovered a family secret, a hidden fortune, a scandal, or perhaps an affair that had gone awry. Others spoke of a curse that had befallen the Devereux lineage. The mansion, once a beacon of light and prosperity, became a magnet for dark speculation. As the days turned into months, the shadows grew longer, and the laughter that once filled the halls faded into an unsettling silence. The spark of life that lit up the grand ballroom dimmed, turning it into a mausoleum of memories. The aftermath of William's death created fissures within the Devereux family that could not be mended. Charles, determined to maintain his reputation, became more controlling, isolating his wife, Catherine, and their other children, Margaret and Joseph. Catherine, once a vibrant presence in the mansion, became a ghost of her former self, trapped in her grief and her husband's oppressive hold. Margaret, known for her artistic talents, poured her emotions into her paintings, each brushstroke echoing sorrow and despair. Joseph, the youngest, felt the suffocating pressure of his family's legacy, torn between loyalty to his father and a desire to escape the oppressive atmosphere that hung in the air. In their shared despair, the siblings forged a bond,
Yet it was riddled with unspoken jealousy and fears. Margaret, often overshadowed by her brother's legacy, felt both sympathy and envy. Joseph, perceiving his sister's artistic inclinations as a distraction from their troubled reality, grew resentful of her. The mansion, once a sanctuary, became a battleground for unexpressed emotions and broken dreams. Echoes of arguments and whispered accusations began to seep into the fabric of the walls, intertwining with the history they bore witness to. As the family dynamics spiraled into chaos, Catherine's health began to decline. The weight of her grief morphed into a shadow that loomed over her, sapping her strength. Observers remarked on her increasingly frail appearance, her once lively eyes now dulled by sorrow. Charles, fixated on maintaining the opulence of their home, buried himself in work, ignoring the decay of his family. As he prepared for yet another gala to uphold the family's standing in society, he remained oblivious to the fractures deepening within his household. The mansion, too, began to reflect the disarray of its inhabitants. Dust settled on the ornate furnishings, the chandeliers lost their luster, and the gardens that had once thrived under Margaret's care began to wilt.
The vibrant celebrations faded, replaced by an eerie silence broken only by the creaks of the aging structure. It felt as if the house itself was mourning the loss of its former glory. The grand ballroom, once filled with laughter and joy, became a cavernous echo chamber for the family's grief and despair. Then, as if the universe sought to punish the Devereux family for their arrogance, a scandal erupted that would mark the beginning of their downfall. In 1847, rumors of Charles's involvement in a dubious financial scheme surfaced, placing the family's fortune in jeopardy. The whispers turned to shouts as the community turned against the once revered family. The very people who had been their allies now reveled in their misfortune, eager to witness the downfall of the Devereux legacy. Invitations to social events ceased, and the mansion, once a hub of elegance, became an object of scorn and ridicule. As Charles fought to salvage his reputation, he became increasingly erratic. The pressure of maintaining the facade began to take its toll, pushing him to make reckless decisions that drove the family further into debt. The mansion that had once been a symbol of wealth was now a crumbling monument to ambition gone awry. The crack of despair deepened, and with it came an emotional tide that threatened to engulf the family whole. Joseph, desperate to escape the suffocating atmosphere, became consumed by thoughts of leaving the mansion behind. Torn between loyalty to his family and the desire to forge his own path, he found himself at a crossroads. Margaret, too, felt the pull of her artistry, yet the weight of expectation and family loyalty held her captive within the mansion's walls. As tensions rose and the family fractured further, the specter of tragedy lingered in the air, waiting for the opportune moment to strike. Time marched forward, bringing with it an inevitable climax that would change the fate of the Devereux family forever. It was a storm brewing on the horizon, one that would unleash chaos within the mansion, a chaos that would echo through generations to come. The shadows of the past intertwined with the present, whispering secrets and foretelling a dark future. The Devereux legacy, once a symbol of grandeur, was teetering on the brink of collapse, and the drastic events that would follow would forever alter the course of their story. In the stillness of the mansion, as the wind howled through the cracks, one could almost hear the echoes of the past, waiting for the moment to unveil the truth behind the Devereux family's tragic unraveling. Inside the Devereux mansion, the air was thick with stories long untold, steeped in the weight of memories that clung to the walls like cobwebs. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting a golden hue through the cracked windows, shadows danced along the floor, creating an eerie atmosphere that felt alive. The grand staircase loomed before anyone who dared to venture deeper. its once polished banister now dulled by time, whispering tales of the laughter and elegance that once cascaded through its halls. Throughout the mansion, the remnants of its former glory mingled with a palpable sense of loss. The parlor, once a gathering place for the elite of New Orleans, was now a ghostly echo of its past. Plush velvet chairs stood in disarray, and the piano, which had once filled the room with sweet melodies, sat silent, its keys yellowed and cracked. A gentle breeze rustled the tattered drapes, carrying with it the faint scent of jasmine that lingered in the air, a reminder of the vibrant garden that flourished just outside. But as beauty remained, so too did an unsettling chill that wrapped around the space, creating an uneasy juxtaposition. Rumors of the mansion's haunting had persisted for generations, whispers that trickled through the streets of New Orleans like the thick fog that rolled in from the bayou at dusk. Locals spoke of shadowy figures glimpsed in the windows, and a soft weeping that sometimes floated through the air, carried on the wind. The haunting wasn't just a tale to frighten children. It had woven itself into the very fabric of the mansion's history, becoming a point of intrigue and fear. As dusk settled into night, a sense of foreboding crept through the mansion's corridors. Each step echoed with a haunting resonance, mingling with the soft creaks of the old wood beneath one's feet. In the heart of the mansion stood the grand ballroom, its once gleaming chandeliers now dust-laden and dim, casting flickering shadows across the floor. The ornate mirrors that lined the walls reflected fragmented images of a time long past, as if they too were entangled in the mansion's melancholic narrative. In the dim recesses of the room, a peculiar atmosphere hung thick. It was as if the very spirits of the Devereaux family lingered, their unresolved histories intertwining with the present. The stories of the mansion were not merely confined to the family's wealth and social status. They were steeped in sorrow, betrayal, and the eternal quest for redemption. Each portrait that adorned the walls seemed to gaze upon the living with a knowing stare, holding secrets that had never been shared. Among the most chilling tales that floated through the mansion was that of Eliza Devereaux, whose spirit was said to wander the gardens she had once tended with great love. Her laughter, which had once filled the air with joy, was now replaced by whispers of longing and sorrow. The circumstances of her death remained shrouded in mystery. Some claimed she had succumbed to illness, while others insisted it was a tragic accident, a fall from the very staircase that loomed over the grand entrance. Whatever the truth, her spirit was believed to be bound to the mansion, a guardian of its secrets, and a reminder of the fragility of life. Investigators and paranormal enthusiasts had flocked to the Devereaux mansion, armed with cameras and recording devices, drawn by the legends that swirled around it. Many claim to have experienced inexplicable phenomena, cold drafts that seemed to emerge from nowhere, disembodied voices that echoed through the halls, and the sensation of being watched even when alone. The mansion, with its rich tapestry of history, had become a beacon for those curious about the supernatural, drawing them into its web of intrigue. There was a particularly chilling incident that had caught the attention of the media. A group of ghost hunters, renowned for their investigations into haunted locations, ventured into the mansion one stormy night. Their recordings captured eerie sounds, soft sobs, and the rustling of fabric, as if an unseen presence was brushing past them. When they emerged, visibly shaken, they recounted feelings of dread that enveloped them as they traversed the once proud hallways. They spoke of shadows darting just out of sight, and an overwhelming sensation of grief that settled upon them like a heavy cloak. As the years rolled on, the mansion's fate fluctuated like the tides of the Mississippi River. Ownership changed hands multiple times, each new occupant hoping to restore its former glory. Yet, with each renovation, the mansion seemed to fight back, its history refusing to be erased. Walls that were painted over soon revealed their peeling layers, bringing back the ghosts of the past. The garden, once a vibrant tapestry of colors, became overgrown and wild, as if nature itself was reclaiming what belonged to it. Theories about the mansion's curse began to circulate, suggesting the Devereux family's legacy was one not just of wealth, but of darkness. Was it the ambitions that had driven them to the heights of society that ultimately led to their downfall? Or was it the tragic deaths that had left a stain on the very ground they walked? Those who dared to delve deeper into the mansion's history found themselves enveloped in a mystery that seemed to transcend time, a loop that pulled them in and held them captive. As the moonlight filtered through the dust-laden windows, illuminating forgotten corners, it became clear that the Devereux mansion was not merely a structure of brick and mortar. It was a living testament to the triumphs and tragedies of a family whose dreams shimmered brightly, only to be shadowed by a series of haunting events. The question remained, would the spirits ever find peace? Or would they continue to roam the halls, entwined with the legacy of a mansion that had captured the essence of life and death? Beyond the whispers of the past, the present held its own mysteries waiting to be uncovered. The Devereux mansion stood as a silent witness to the passage of time, an architectural marvel steeped in both beauty and sorrow. What lay ahead for this haunting edifice? As the night deepened, the mansion seemed to pulse with a life of its own, its secrets beckoning those brave enough to step inside and listen. The air in the grand mansion of the Devereux family grew heavy with whispers and suspicions. Following the tragic death of William, the once vibrant halls now echoed with the muffled sorrow of a family in disarray. Shadows seemed to linger longer in the corners of the rooms, and the light that filtered through the ornate windows felt colder, as if mourning alongside the family. Each creak of the wooden floors beneath their feet echoed like a reminder of their shared grief, weaving a tapestry of tension that enveloped the mansion. In the days that followed, the estate fell into a deep silence, broken only by the occasional sound of distant thunder rumbling in the sky, as if nature itself mourned the loss of the young heir. The grand ballroom, once filled with joyous laughter and music, felt more like a tomb.
The chandelier, with its sparkling crystals dulled by neglect, hung above the empty space where couples had once twirled in delight. Now, the only thing that twirled was the dust that settled on the polished floors, untouched by revelry. Charles Devereux, unable to process his overwhelming grief, became a mere ghost within his own home, retreating to his study where he pored over ledgers and accounts. The weight of loss transformed into an obsession with maintaining control over the family's legacy. He became increasingly isolated, believing that his son's death was not an accident, but a consequence of forces beyond the family's understanding. He pondered late into the night, scribbling notes filled with theories of betrayal, secrecy, and even a possible curse that had plagued their lineage. Meanwhile, Margaret, William's younger sister, felt the weight of silence pressing down upon her. She had adored her brother, looking up to him as a beacon of hope and ambition. Now, with whispers swirling around the mansion, she found herself drawn to the garden where he had taken his last breath. Each step she took among the overgrown foliage and wilting flowers reminded her of the vibrant life that had once been. The garden, a place of beauty, had morphed into a haunting reminder of loss, its beauty marred by the tragedy that had unfolded. The community, too, had not remained untouched by the tragedy. News of William's demise spread like wildfire, igniting a flurry of gossip. Neighbors who had once been friends now avoided the Devereux estate, their conversations laced with uncertainty and fear. The mansion, once a symbol of wealth and prestige, became a subject of dark speculation. Some believed William had stumbled upon a scandal that would tarnish the family name, while others whispered of a curse that had plagued the Devereux for generations. As days turned into weeks, the atmosphere thickened with unspoken truths and unrelenting dread. Margaret, unable to shake the feeling of unease, began her own exploration of the house, seeking answers hidden within its walls. The attic, filled with dusty relics and forgotten memories, beckoned her. Ascending the creaky staircase, she felt a chill sweep over her, as if the house itself held its breath, anticipating her discovery. In the dim light of the attic, she discovered a trunk adorned with intricate carvings.
With trembling hands, she opened it to reveal a collection of letters, faded with time, but filled with emotion. They were written by her grandmother, a woman shrouded in mystery and whispers of a tragic past. As Margaret read the letters, she uncovered secrets that had been long buried. Tales of love, betrayal, and a family torn apart by ambition unfolded before her eyes, illuminating the dark shadows that had hung over her lineage. One letter in particular caught her attention. It spoke of a family member who had vanished without a trace, leaving behind only rumors of a hidden treasure and a feud that threatened to destroy them all. As she pieced together the fragments of her family's history, Margaret couldn't shake the feeling that the answers she sought were intertwined with the fate of her brother. She felt a strange connection to the past, as if the echoes of her ancestors were guiding her toward the truth. Her investigation was not without consequence. As she delved deeper into the secrets of the Devereux lineage, strange occurrences began to plague the mansion. Objects moved without explanation, whispers floated through the air, and shadows danced at the corners of her vision. Was it the spirit of William trying to communicate, or perhaps the remnants of those who had come before him, warning her of the dangers that lay ahead? Margaret confided in her mother, who seemed equally troubled by the changes in the house. Together, they sought solace in the family chapel, a small sanctuary tucked away in the gardens. The chapel had once been a place of peace, and now it felt like a last refuge from the encroaching darkness. They lit candles and prayed for guidance, hoping to find comfort amid the chaos. But comfort was elusive. As the nights grew longer, the sense of foreboding intensified. The family gatherings that had once brought joy now turned into silent dinners, each member lost in their thoughts, haunted by the specter of William's absence. The mansion, with its elaborate architecture and grand rooms, began to feel more like a cage, trapping them in their sorrow and secrets. The news of William's death had drawn detectives and curious onlookers to the estate, each hoping to uncover the truth behind the tragedy. With every passing day, the pressure mounted. Charles, desperate to protect his family's reputation, became increasingly paranoid. He insisted on hiring private investigators to watch over the estate, convinced that someone was plotting against them. The walls of the mansion closed in around them, the weight of suspicion and grief suffocating. In the heart of the mansion, the echoes of laughter had transformed into whispers of despair. The Devereux family, once the epitome of elegance and success, now stood on the brink of collapse. As the shadows deepened and the nights grew darker, they were left to navigate the treacherous waters of grief, betrayal, and the ghosts of their past. What had begun as a story of wealth and prestige had spiraled into a haunting tale of loss and the quest for redemption, with the legacy of the Devereux family hanging precariously in the balance. The grand ballroom lay silent, steeped in memories of laughter and elegance that echoed through its vast, shadowy space. Once a stage for lavish balls and extravagant celebrations, the room now bore witness to the passage of time, trapped in a veil of dust and decay. The chandeliers, once sparkling like stars in the night sky, now hung like a forgotten constellation, their crystals dimmed by neglect. The air was thick with the scent of aged wood and lingering perfume, remnants of a life that once thrived within these walls. As the evening deepened, an unnatural chill seeped into the room, wrapping around the edges of the ornate moldings. The flickering shadows seemed to breathe, shifting and molding into shapes that whispered of the past. Every creak of the floorboards felt like a sigh from the mansion itself, lamenting its lost glory.
The walls, adorned with faded portraits of stern ancestors, appeared to watch with silent judgment, their painted eyes reflecting the flickering candlelight like glimmers of lost hope. Outside, the once vibrant garden, now overrun with wild growth, whispered secrets through the rustling leaves. The jasmine that had once perfumed the air now lay entwined with thorns, a testament to beauty twisted by time. Moonlight spilled through the broken windows, illuminating patches of the floor and casting long shadows that danced like the spirits that were said to inhabit the mansion. It was in this eerie setting that the stories of the Devereux family still lingered, threading through the remnants of their past. The mansion's history was not merely a collection of facts, but a tapestry woven with threads of ambition, tragedy, and unfulfilled dreams.
The echoes of the past whispered of a family that had once ruled the social scene of New Orleans, their power and wealth a double-edged sword that ultimately led to their demise. The Devereux family had moved in with the promise of everlasting prosperity, yet, like the fading light of the day, their fortunes began to wither under the weight of their own secrets. As the winds howled outside, a soft, ethereal sound drifted through the air, a faint weeping that seemed to originate from the depths of the mansion. It was a sound that had become synonymous with the Devereux legacy. On stormy nights, locals recounted tales of the figure of a woman draped in white haunting the grand staircase, her sorrowful wails echoing through the halls. Some claimed she was the spirit of Eleanor Devereux, the matriarch who had presided over the mansion but had succumbed to despair after a series of tragedies befell her family. The stories of Eleanor's heartache were woven into the fabric of the mansion's existence, each thread revealing a glimpse into the family's tumultuous past. The whispers spoke of her once vibrant spirit, a woman whose laughter had filled the air and whose charm had captivated the elite of New Orleans. Yet, beneath the surface of her glamorous life lay a world of secrets and betrayals that slowly unraveled the Devereux dynasty, leading to their eventual downfall. As time passed, the mansion's allure faded, its walls absorbing the pain and sorrow of its inhabitants. The glamorous gatherings that once echoed through the halls were a distant memory, replaced by an unsettling silence that loomed like a heavy fog. The grand ballroom, once alive with music and laughter, now served as a reminder of what once was, a haunting memory of the days when the Devereux name inspired admiration and envy. The family's decline began with a tragic event that rippled through their lives, like a stone thrown into still water, creating waves of despair that would ultimately drown them. It began with the unexpected death of the eldest son, Charles Devereux. His demise, shrouded in mystery, sent shockwaves through the family, unraveling the tightly woven fabric of their lives. Speculation swirled around his passing, with whispers of betrayal and hidden enemies lurking in the shadows. The once proud family found themselves grappling with grief and uncertainty, their names tainted by scandal. As the mansion spiraled deeper into despair, the remaining members of the Devereux family found solace in their own secrets. Ambitions clashed, and alliances were forged in darkness, as greed and desperation seeped into their souls. The beautiful facade of the mansion faded, revealing the rot that lay beneath. The lavish parties became a distant memory, replaced by hushed conversations and fearful glances exchanged in the shadowed corners of the grand rooms. Rumors began to circulate about the mysterious happenings within the mansion, adding layers to its already rich tapestry of intrigue. It was said that the spirits of the Devereux ancestors roamed the halls, restless and searching for answers to questions that had long gone unanswered. The mansion became a living entity, breathing with the weight of its past, drawing in those who ventured too close, only to leave them with more questions than answers. As the sun sank lower on the horizon, casting long shadows across the ballroom, the atmosphere grew heavier with every passing moment.
The soft flicker of candlelight danced across the walls, illuminating the faded portraits that seemed to come alive as the night deepened. With each creak of the old floorboards, it felt as though the mansion itself was whispering, urging those brave enough to listen to uncover the truth hidden within its depths. Despite the darkness, there was a flicker of hope, a yearning to unravel the mysteries that had long shrouded the Devereux legacy. The mansion, with its haunting beauty, stood as a testament to the power of memory and the weight of history. It was a place where the past and present intertwined, beckoning those willing to confront the shadows and seek out the truths that lay buried beneath the layers of time. The question lingered in the air. Would anyone dare to venture further into the heart of the Devereux mansion, to uncover the secrets it guarded so fiercely? As the night deepened and the winds howled outside, the mansion seemed to breathe, alive with the stories of those who had come before. Would they find closure? Or would the shadows continue to weave their tangled tale, trapping all who dared to enter within the haunting embrace of history? The garden, once vibrant with color, now lay in a state of decay, mirroring the turmoil that had enveloped the Devereux family. Weeds crept up against the wrought iron gates, and the once fragrant blooms had given way to an unkempt wilderness.
Yet, amidst the overgrowth, Margaret found solace. The air was heavy with the scent of damp earth, a bitter reminder of the rain that had fallen incessantly since William's passing. It was here, surrounded by nature's desolation, that she sought a connection to her brother, hoping to find answers hidden in the shadows of her own heart. As she moved deeper into the garden, her fingers brushed against the remnants of yellowed petals and twisted vines that seemed to reach out to her, as if they too were mourning. The sky overhead was a canvas of gray, the clouds swirling like the emotions that churned within her. With each step, she could feel the weight of the past pressing down, and the stories of the Devereux lineage whispered through the rustling leaves. Margaret had always been intuitive, but now she felt an inexplicable force guiding her through the tangled pathways. It was in this forgotten part of the estate that she stumbled upon a stone bench, half hidden by ivy. She sat down, allowing the coolness of the stone to seep into her bones, and closed her eyes, inviting the memories of her brother to wash over her. They had shared countless afternoons in this very spot, dreaming of the future, their laughter echoing through the garden like sweet music. Now all that remained was silence, punctuated only by the distant rumble of thunder. Margaret opened her eyes, her gaze drawn to a weathered statue of a woman, cloaked in shadow and ivy. It was a likeness of their mother, her features soft yet sorrowful, gazing out at the world with an expression that seemed to hold secrets. The statue had always captivated Margaret, but now it felt like a guardian, watching over her as she grappled with the grief that threatened to consume her. "Why did you leave me?" she whispered, not expecting an answer, but longing to understand what had happened. It was a plea she had not yet voiced aloud, a question that lingered in the corners of her mind, festering like an open wound. She closed her eyes once more, hoping that in the depths of her sorrow she might somehow connect with the spirit of her brother. As Margaret sat in the garden, lost in thought, a sudden gust of wind swept through, rustling the leaves and sending a shiver down her spine. The air around her seemed to shift, charged with an energy that was both familiar and unsettling. She opened her eyes, heart racing, as a faint whisper danced on the breeze, calling her name. "Margaret." It was soft, almost like a sigh, and she instinctively turned her head, half expecting to see William standing behind her. But there was no one, just the statue, the flowers, and the encroaching shadows. Unease rippled through her, yet she found it oddly comforting, as if her brother's spirit was right there with her, urging her to seek the truth. It was a truth that had remained buried within the mansion, obscured by layers of grief and denial. Determination surged within her, and she rose from the bench, brushing off the dirt and leaves that clung to her dress. She made her way back to the mansion, the path feeling different now, almost guided by an unseen hand. Each step echoed like a heartbeat, and as she approached the grand entrance, the door creaked open, inviting her into the depths of the family's secrets. The once familiar halls felt foreign and cold, but Margaret pressed on, drawn by an insatiable need to confront the past and uncover what had truly happened to William. In the dim light, she navigated through the corridors, her heart pounding with anticipation. The study where her father retreated to bury himself in ledgers and accounts seemed to beckon her. As she entered, she found Charles hunched over his desk, surrounded by documents and maps, his expression a mix of despair and obsession. The air was thick with tension, and Margaret sensed that he too was wrestling with shadows of his own. "Father," she said softly, her voice trembling as she stepped into the room. He looked up, surprise flickering in his eyes, but it quickly faded into a distant sorrow. "We need to talk about William." For a moment, silence enveloped them, heavy and suffocating. Charles's gaze shifted to the floor, burdened with the weight of unspoken words. "There's nothing to talk about, Margaret. It was an accident." Margaret shook her head, refusing to accept the easy explanation that hung in the air. "No, Father, I feel it in my bones. There is more to this. We cannot ignore the whispers, the tensions that have thrived in this house. We need to find the truth." Her father's face hardened, and he rose from his chair, his movements sharp and defensive. "What truth are you speaking of? You think I haven't tried to find answers? You think I haven't looked for a way to protect this family?" Tears pricked at the corners of her eyes, but she held her ground. "Protecting the family means facing the truth, not hiding from it. William deserves that, and so do we." In that moment, Charles seemed to falter, the mask of denial slipping just slightly. "You don't understand, Margaret. There are things we are better off not knowing, things that could ruin us." "Or set us free," she replied, her voice steady despite the turmoil inside her. "Please, let me help you." The air between them crackled with unresolved tension, and Margaret felt the first stirrings of hope. Perhaps together they could unravel the web of lies that had ensnared their family. Perhaps they could face the shadows that clung to the mansion, and in doing so, reclaim the light that had been lost. As Margaret prepared to confront the malevolent truths of her family's past, she felt the echoes of the garden calling her back, urging her to dig deeper, to uncover the mysteries that lay buried beneath the surface. For the Devereux Mansion was not merely a residence, it was a living entity, holding not just the weight of a tragic past, but the promise of redemption if only they dared to face the darkness together. The journey ahead would be fraught with challenges, but Margaret was resolute. She would not let the legacy of pain define them. Instead, she would fight for the love that had been overshadowed by despair, determined to shine a light into the darkest corners of their family's history, even if it meant unearthing secrets better left undisturbed. For the echoes of the past were not just whispers, they were the keys to their future, waiting to be reclaimed.